about this guitar a little bit. I wouldn't even have dreamed to do this kind of invasive work on it if it wasn't not the top of the line. I love Ovation, I've always have, but I got this one for about $375 back in the day. It is an original USA one. There's nothing, it sounds great, plays excellent, but when I bought it, it already had a big, somewhere at the back, yeah, here, it had a big ding at the back. But these guitars with these big bellies are unplayable. And so to me, for this kind of thing, I want to just try making it into something I can play. This is Luthier's Mercantile. I got this nice back, the two sides of the back, mahogany. It's already cut to the right thickness. It's a dreadnought, but mine's not a dreadnought. One of the things I'm trying to do again is use tools that are around the house, make it inexpensive to do. This is what I'm going to use to get the sides completely planed correctly. And this is just a level, plastic level, but it's very flat here. I put this tape using Gorilla Tape, and then I've got 150 sandpaper, so I'm going to sand that, but this keeps it very straight, and I've got the Gorilla Tape holding it on. Got these two put together like that. This seam needs to be completely flat. Both sides need to be completely flat. So what I'll do is put them this way, and then I'm going to run them on here. Don't need to be in a hurry, not putting a lot of pressure on it. Just trying to keep it very straight. I saw this on YouTube. This is called the tent method for joining these two. You're going to get a thin, there's a specific measurement they gave. I kind of approximated it with this, but you're going to put this thin piece of wood down here, put some parchment paper for the glue. Then you're going to put the two sides together. And what I'm going to start doing is nailing these sinker nails along the ends, along the edges there. And then when I pull this out, it's going to sink down. They're going to be already close. This is going to come out. It's going to really put those two together. Then I can put another piece of paper on top and some weights on top. Leave it overnight. It'll be like one piece of wood. It's been overnight. It's the next morning. Take these very heavy ammo boxes off. Get to see the result. Oh yeah, that looks like it worked. Pull these out a little bit. Can reuse this. Oops. Let's take a look. Very little sticking. There we go. Okay, very nice. It's a nice plate. This will get sanded. Very strong. Well, the back of it is now off. I'll have to recover that label. But there's what causes the problem, is that rounded back that's slippery. And here's what it looks like from the inside. The sides were cut using a Dremel cutter. Wasn't that hard. This part was difficult up here. This joint. It's that same material, but that is very tough. I had to saw it with a regular saw, and it still wasn't easy. Then I hacksawed, but it is a bolt-on neck. It's kind of nice. Looks like a bolt there also in the top, or a pin that holds it all together. But should be nice. Staying along this theme of trying to make this with tools that are affordable and around the house, I need to get this back flat so I could put a flat back on there. All I've got is a, what is this thing, one of those leveling squares, and got a piece of sandpaper on it. So I'm going to try to get this as straight as possible. I'm going to make measurements from the top to the edge and do it with a white line. Try to get it as rough as I can with this bar here, and then I'm going to have a different technique to try to do the final back leveling. What I did is I measured how I wanted it, how deep exactly, and then I made marks with one of these Sharpie markers all around it at that exact level. So I did actually measure it. Then I'm gonna put it down on here. This dreadnought shape was already marked on there, but I want to get the size of this. Go ahead and cut it out. One of the reasons why I want to cut this now into the shape of the dreadnought is because I want to get a piece of this for its thickness. And once I do that, on this part here, I'm going to cut. I want the wood, the backing to stay along with this, but not go over the bottom of the neck. It's gonna just, there's gonna be a relief there, just the thickness of that wood. So the wood's gonna lay on this and come up to this, but it's not gonna lay over this little semicircle bottom of the neck. All I'm doing is taking Tite Bond, squirting it on top. Spreading it out all over and flipping it over like that. And then this is row 2. Just putting that glue on there. I spread it out with this, and I'm gonna have a big surface to sand. This little rig is working really nice. Got the sanding, and then this edge is, it's smooth. So it fits in this edge here. It's not sawing or sanding this part, the neck at all. It's just because it has the ring all around it, I'm going to consider it sanded. Don't forget the, I forgot what that's called, the purfling or whatever that's going to bolster the sides. That wood is going to stick. It's going to allow me to get it very smooth. It's going to sand smoother than this plastic. That's how you know it's sanded even, is when you've got the entire outline of the guitar in sawdust, or actually composite dust. These are kerfing strips I bought from Luther's Mercantile, LMI. They are the reverse ones, and they're wet. I got them wet, and I'm going to show you why, because I saw a technique on LMI. Mr. O'Brien taught about how to install these reverse kerfings in the curved sides. These are the inside of what holds the screws for your strap pins, and I figured out finally how to salvage them. The metal's pretty resilient, so get you a little tiny screwdriver like that, put it in here, come on, and start pulling this out like that. And you see how that fold starts to unfold, and then you can take pliers, whatever, and start to squeeze that so it straightens out. You want to get this part here straight out. It's going to look like this. This is how I got the last one out finally, but it'll pull right out, and then I'll be able to put them back in. There's that reverse kerfing getting preformed. It was wet, it's been overnight. What I can do though, because it's plastic on the sides of an Ovation, I'm gonna squirt it again, mist it with water, let it sit. I'm not in any big hurry today or tonight, so I'm gonna let it preform again while I'm doing some other stuff for the guitar. Regular old spray bottle you can buy at Lowe's. Maybe just rinse one out if you have one around the house already, or just wait for something to run out, some chemical you're using, and rinse it real good. Anyway, I'm gonna spray this. I'm gonna hold the guitar this way and just spray it again, let it sit another day. When I go to take off this kerfing that's been sitting here a couple days forming, I'm gonna hold the guitar this way. So when I take these clips off, it's gonna be just laying on top of the guitar. Then I can gently move it down here like this one. And you can see they'll be pre-formed. And there we go. We've got nice pre-stressed, pre-bent kerfing. I'm about to put an end block on the back. Did notice that line. It looks like a extra stiffening line of plastic, and it kind of ends where the sanding ends there, but I just did notice that while I've got this thing apart. I took a file just to make sure that little support strip there that runs parallel with the top, make sure that I got that flat, because I'm gonna epoxy this end block on there. One side all clamped down. I'm at the point now where I'm preparing this back to put the bracing on. But one thing I wanted to say is I'm sanding it down roughly to get all the glue marks and everything else. The best way to check the surface is to hold it at an angle to the light. And I could see on this side, you've got some area that needs a little bit more sanding, but you're just using a rough sandpaper. You can use 150. You could use even smaller than that, or 60 or something like that. But the idea is just get this rough and get rid of marks and anything else. So once you start putting braces on, it's going to be on a nice surface. This is going to be the back. It ended up, this piece of mahogany is really nice. I could tell when you finish it off, it's going to be a really nice piece. Protect this wood on a towel, and remember you're sanding up and down with the grain. Don't go against the grain. Here's how I'm gluing down the first brace. Make sure it's perpendicular to the center line. I'm using wood glue, and the main thing is here, I got it pressed down, but you want to get this squeeze out while it's still a little damp. So what I'll do is take some kind of cloth, or I like just using a corner, make a real nice corner on the sandpaper or hard paper, and get that out while it's kind of semi-soft before it fully sets, and then you'll have that cleaned out. I can maybe wait a little bit longer. The other thing is I'm putting this extra brace here on the side, kind of keep it even pressure, and I'm using a heavy toolbox to weigh this down. Make sure it's centered correctly, so it's getting pressure all on the brace. And let that sit for maybe another 20 minutes or so, firm up the glue, but I can still pull the squeeze out. I'll show how this comes up when it's been dried for about 20 minutes or so. It peels off real nice. Here's what I've come up with as the back. I've got these braces from Luther's Mercantile, and then I shaved them down. You look at it from this way. Why did I do it that way? I made them very thin. I made sure that joint has the thickest part, and then it tapers towards the end. There's two ways to do a back. You can do it very stiff, or you can try to leave it as flexible as possible. Let's do it this way, leave it as flexible as possible. I'm leaving it as flexible as possible because the theory is that you get more complex tones, that this vibrates more, and what you lose is that the guitar is not going to be as loud. But I don't need it to be loud. It's an Ovation. They're amplified. I don't need it as a sitting around, be loud guitar. What did I use to shave these down? I think it was $9.99 at Lowe's. I got the chisel set. It's got 3 different sizes in it. I sharpened them with sandpaper, kind of 320 and 220 sandpaper. Just make sure they're razor sharp, and just go at it. And then take sandpaper to smooth them all down and shape them more. This is like a cedar or spruce. It's going to sand very easily, so you can shape it whatever way you want. This is the preamp right here. Don't want to take that apart at all. It's all connected to the jack, and it was inside this box, aluminum box. The box didn't look like it was gonna fit. Looks like it's unnecessary anyway. And what I didn't want to do was, I had, there was a grommet on there right here, and I didn't want to unsolder any wires to get this through the hole in the box. So it was a lot easier to just hacksaw it, pry it open. Now I've got it like this. I'll just take the grommet off. Now I can install this thing without the box, and no big deal. Plus it'll get a little more air to cool it off. There I go, I removed that box. The other thing is the box that's gonna have the 9-volt battery in it. You can get these little Velcro little kits at Walmart. It's cheap. I'm gonna put it right here, so it will attach right there. You can stick your hand through the hole, sound hole, change the battery, then it sticks right there. But Velcro is a whole lot better than that little mechanism that comes with it originally. Then this wire, any wires that are loose, like going down to the whatever you call that, the jack, I'm gonna make sure they're attached along the side. You can get little, what are those clips called? The little zip ties, and then they have little mounts on them. Anything that I mount, like even this Velcro, I'm gonna put it on there with the same resin epoxy. So I'm gonna put little mounting things to zip tie these up here, or I might even put them on with Velcro. That way it can be pulled off if I want to someday change it to a higher end pickup system. But anyway, that's it. Just make sure these aren't moving around, because I noticed before, if these things are loose, the wires, it's going to tap up against your soundboard and you're going to hear them moving around in there. So just make sure every wire is somehow secured. Using Velcro is going to make things better in the long run, I think. Using clamps for the epoxy. I got this little clamp kit, the plastic ones, for very cheap. It's either Walmart or Lowe's, but probably like $6 for, I don't know, 15 different assorted clamps. These were a little more expensive. They're very nice to have. I got like 2 for $10 at Lowe's, these Jorgensens. But you can get clamps pretty cheap. Use them for other stuff. Getting towards the end here. Again, we've got these lines. We don't want them loose. I'm gonna have to make sure they stay on the edges here. The way I'm gonna do it is, my brother gave me these. I'm gonna use tie wraps again. Tie wraps. And my brother gave me these 2 kind of clips. 2 different kinds. These are made for tie wraps, but as you can see, one's flat on top. One has 2 openings. Anyway, but the idea is everything's gonna be with Velcro. Nothing's gonna get, I'm not gonna attach these directly to the sides. What I'm gonna do is take something like these clippers, clip off the edge parts, just make it a flat surface, clip off this little plug right here, and they'll be nice. But everything will be detachable without having to take the guitar apart. If I want to replace the pickup system, this comes apart here, and everything can come out. This will come out, and I can upgrade the pickup system. And the Velcro will get attached to the clips. Same thing, Gorilla epoxy. Getting close to the end here. This pickup, you got to make sure that it's secured in there good. What I did is put a string on it here and then tested it. And I built, just instead of that old aluminum box, in order to fit it in the old hole here, I went ahead and made a copper little, what do they call that box? A Fermi box or something like that, or a, I forget what the guy's name, Tesla box or something like that. Anyway, just make sure the lines are all down nice. They're a little bit taut, but they're not going to be banging up against the soundboard there. Anyway, I tested it out with a little amplifier, a little micro cube, and it worked fine. This little box, copper box around there, grounded everything nice, took down any noise. So now about ready to put the back on. We're in the home stretch now. Here's what I'm gonna do. The goal now is get this attached to this. I made sure it's completely flat here. All of the electronics and all are underneath that plane. And then this is going to get put on here, lined up. I made a line at the bottom to denote the middle. The plan is to put one of these clamps here and here. And then what I have is, I got this at Walmart, about $7. These are those exercise straps. Thin, a little thicker. Once I get it clamped, won't move, wrap it all down. And then wrap it with this heavier, then just let it sit for the curing time. What I'm going to use is the same stuff. Gorilla epoxy. It's a really quick set epoxy. 5 minutes and it kind of starts. The sooner you can get the parts touching each other, the better. And so my plan is, by the way, I kept the old thing here, kept the serial number. The plan is to I want to get it mixed up. You can get these from your dentist. You can just pop into any dentist, just ask for one, but yours will probably give it to you. Never use it. It's a clean one, but it's its own little squeegee, and I want enough coming out of there, so I'm going to cut maybe more, a little bigger. I got to make sure that it's going to come out of there quick enough and thick enough. That might be maybe a little bit thicker. Maybe something like that. And what I'll do is squirt the epoxy in there, fill it almost up, mix it up real quick, 20 seconds, put it on, and then I'm going to have to quickly get it on this line. Squirt it all that way, should be good. I might even have, if I've got extra that doesn't fit all in here, I might have a little thing right next to it where I can spread it across this base, and then go ahead and get this thing on. Use my lines to get it set on there. Put the clamps on, and that'll be a good start. And then I'll just start wrapping it up. Let it sit. It cures very quickly, but it's really nice after 24 hours or so. These things that I used it on here, they're on there like a rock. Now, the clamp for the front, I have these neoprene cutouts that I bought off Amazon for other projects, but you could use something. But since this clamp is going to be here, pressure here, on this side it's frets, so I want to put this down. I don't want to mess up with the frets at all. I might even put two. I think I'd cut an extra. I want that well cushioned right there. I don't want it messing up the frets at all. Then on this front, I can put it there too. So you need some kind of protection there for the front. I don't think this wrap is going to hurt it at all. And then when I'm done, I'll buff it all real nice again. But that's the plan. I've let this sit, not touched it, for 2 days, 48 hours. It's all wrapped up. I'm going to take this out now. Just didn't move it at all, didn't touch it, because you want that epoxy to just keep creating chemical bonds, and it will do that. The Gorilla says it's 24 hours to total cure, but I think it's actually longer. But for the most part, yeah, it's going to be all cured up. But these things look like they worked really nice. That'll come right off. You know, this should be something I have to just, these things are probably goners. One more here. Whoa. That's another reason you don't want to touch it. Just something like that could happen even though you're taking it off in 24 hours. All right, again, got this protecting the frets. This is protecting this. See, this stuff will come off. There it is. Well, here it is. Got the strings on it. I'll play it in just a few. I haven't finished the back yet. There's plenty of videos on how to finish things off, finish guitars off. I don't want to waste time doing that. Well, that's it. Put it all together. Like I said, I'll finish this off. You don't need a video on how to do that. Get the sides cleaned up, but this back is on rock solid with the epoxy. It's on very straight. This was a little defect in the wood. I'll just fill that in a little bit. But it's a solid back, really nice. One thing I might do is move the pin to here, and that might make it play a little, hold up a little better. Sometimes it still wants to flip just a little bit, but I might leave it, I don't know. But I'll put the hardware back on. Everything else plays like normal. I never touched anything. The action's the same. I'm very happy with it. It's a whole lot easier against to play like that, and it seems to sound pretty much the same to me. Maybe it's not as loud acoustically, but who cares really? Again, this was an old guitar I've had. I paid $325 for it, maybe, who knows how long ago, 20, 30 years ago. I wanted to respect the builders because I believe Ovation are very good builders. I don't look at these things as little pieces of junk. This is a very good guitar, but anybody can do it. Household tools, and it works. So go do it.